thank you very much for being with us. Why don't you carry on, Joe? Let's get started.
Guys. All right, get back to the state dinner, Francisque, and let's talk drag racing with John, Brittany, and Robert. First of all, guys, thank you for working hard to get through that technical issue. We appreciate it. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving, happy pre-Christmas. How's everybody?
Thanks, we're all great. Back in the office after a little off time for the holidays, and good to see you again, Joe. Just saw you.
Yes. I know. Brittany and I hung out on my own podcast the other day. Great interview talking about the championship. Robert, an amazing season, 8 wins, came in second. John, you scored another victory in your career. The last time Brittany won, you guys both swept the championship. This time it was first and second. But season, right? Robert, I would imagine there's still a little bit of sting, but when you look back, you had a career season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been a lot of years since anybody's won that many races, that many rounds. Very pleased, proud of my team, and we're learning from this, and we're going to move on. I think maybe we got a little chip on our shoulder, and we have definitely goals to get back on top.
I'm proud to represent drag racing, but I also love other forms of motor racing. And this week on EPARTRADE Industry Week, we've spoken with a lot of business, motorsports entrepreneurs from Australia. John, that's where you say you started your career, and I've been on fire from here to Australia is one of your catchphrases that you use. One of the great imports from Australia, David Grubnick, became a world champion this year at tuning for your daughter, Brittany Force. I would just like you to talk a little bit about David Grubnick and what he has brought to the team and his method of thinking, and even more so, the connection between drag racing and Australia that you felt over the years.
Well, I couldn't even tell you Grubnick's age, but he might have been down there watching me when I was back there in 74 or 75 in Australia. But I tell you, he's quite an individual. He not only as a driver, he was great, but as a lead crew chief, working with Savage to run Brittany's car. He's really helped her evolve. She's grown in the sport, still got a lot to learn. We all do. Hell, I'm learning from scratch. But Australia, they always said when I went down there, they were like 10 years behind us, but they loved the sport of drag racing. Every type of car, it was just unbelievable. And I had a ball down there. Gary Densham got me through that. I was struggling with a tuner. We couldn't make the thing work. Densham, the only thing kept me from having to swim back was a national speed record that I got, and on the front page of the Sydney newspaper, probably by pure accident, but I got it. So no, Grubnick's something special. We really like him, and he's already figuring where he's going on next year with new plans that he has. But they had a great car. Robert Hight had a great car. I mean, he was right there, 3 points. But you got to give caps. However they did it, they pulled it off. Him and, their Napa team, great people. But Auto Club was right there. Hagen was right there in the mix. So whatever it is what it is. And we move on from that. And but I congratulate Brittany. But I want to, congratulate Justin. The other kids that were out there, all the ones that were in that fight, Antron and Torrance and all of them. So at the end of the day, we do the best we can. I'm trying to fix my hot rod. Proc came out of nowhere. I don't even know how. I thought he was 8th. And then I'm hearing he ended up number 3, hell, I didn't even know he was in the countdown. And I'm the owner. I should know all that. But Robert runs all this stuff. But, excited, but Australia was special to me. And now it comes back, Grubnick, like he always said, pushing the limits. That's what he does. And by all the records you set and records that Robert set, we definitely did that at John Force Racing. So I'm talking too much. Sorry.
You're not. We've got 40 minutes to go. We're inviting people out there to ask questions in the chat section. There are some comments out there. And this one, I'm just going to put the brakes on it. I hear Pomona may be closed, which is a tragedy. Is that true? The answer is no, it is not true. They have re-upped for 10 years. NHRA will be there. That is a vicious rumor that was circulated throughout the season. When Brad Gerber joins us in about an hour from now, he will address it. But not only have they re-upped and extended where the Fairplex is going to be, but they have got a new title rights sponsor for the facility as well. That is going to be great and everybody's going to love it. We'll talk about that coming up in the future. But the bottom line is no, that is not true. They did move the Winter Nationals. That is true. It is no longer the first race of the season. Brittany, talk a little bit about the first race of the season is going to be on the East Coast at the Gator Nationals. Second time ever. The last time we did it was due to the pandemic. Seemed to work out. Start on the East Coast, finish on the West Coast. What do you think?
It definitely makes more sense for the teams and, hauling these rigs and race cars across the country to start there. It's going to be a little different just because I'm so used to, our season begins in Pomona and ends in Pomona, but I'm always about change and switching things up to see if, there's improvements or there's a better crowd or a better draw from it. So I think it should be exciting. Gainesville is one of the biggest races on our circuit, so it makes sense to start there. And it's actually a place where I got my first win years ago. So it's a special track to me, one I've been going to since I was a kid, watching, my dad race. So love that racetrack, and should be interesting that we'll be starting there. I'm excited and looking forward to it.
That was a JFR double up, if memory serves me correctly, Robert. You won as well, and you and Brittany have done a lot of winning together.
Yeah, we have. I think we did it once this year in Richmond. So we've done it in Houston, and that was a big day, when she got her first win, and, the Auto Club team pulled off a win as well. So that's always the goal. Every race we go to, we're wanting to double up, and we've got 4 chances to do it.
All right. So John is out there, says the only thing I like 10 times more than F1 is NHRA. Nothing like 20,000 horsepower going down the racetrack. I don't like to compare motorsport because when you say, my thing's better than your thing, the chance of getting that person to also like what you like goes down. It's not like our thing is not necessarily like, oh, it's better than your thing. I think fans of Formula One and sports cars and NASCAR will love NHRA drag racing if they come see it in person. I would like you to each talk a little bit about the experience at the NHRA and what you think makes it unique compared to some of these other types of series that people are familiar with.
Well, what's good about NHRA and Camping World, every ticket's a pit pass. And you can be in there and be with the drivers, get photographed, chat with them, watch them race, and then all the other stuff that goes on in the midways. It's to me, it's the greatest show on earth. It's PT Barnum on wheels, but never take anything away from F1. Don't know anything about it. Know a little bit about IndyCar because Courtney's husband, Graham Rahal, is in that. So we love it. We follow that. Of course, we follow NASCAR, and we've done a lot of work with them over the years. But, we're down here in our world. We're the little brother, still fighting to get to where we want to be. But, lucky to have sponsors, Peak with myself, Robert with Auto Club, with some new announcements coming. It's going to be exciting. Of course, Chevrolet, Brittany with Monster Energy and Flavor Pack, and Proc, that kid that moved up to number 3rd. I still ain't figured out how in the hell that happened, but they did a great job. Got to tip my hats to them. Him with Montana brand. And of course, then we have Cornwell Tools. A lot of exciting stuff to talk about later. Can't talk about it now, but places we're going to go and things we're going to do. And NK Seed, re-sign, come back with us. So I'm excited about the sport. I love all of them. I try to watch them all. And I really follow Brady because he's old as me in football and want to see how this going to turn out for him. And but right now, my leaders are sitting right here next to me, Robert Hight and Brittany, and they did their job. They got more wins than I could imagine, more records, and for whatever right there at the end, it didn't happen. That's why we want to congratulate the competition. It did for Brittany, but Robert was 3 points. So, we keep bringing it up. We keep talking about it in-house, but right now our mindset is to move ahead. How do we come back next year and try to figure out how to win. And I'm trying to win. Don't get me wrong. Daniel Hood runs my car. He's great. He's family, him and Fabrizi. But we're going to make some, add some more people into the hunt with us. And I want to get back on track. I only won a race. You said it earlier, but I only won one race. And it's been a long, you'd have to go back 40 years when that happened.
Well, and I agree that, you know, there's a curve, right? Like you get a race win, you've done something special in the NHRA period, but you're used to winning multiple races. Robert, you're the president of John Force Racing. I'd like you to give us a state of the sport situation. I just kind of quelched that rumor about Pomona going away, but I would like to hear your perspective. You are a driver. You're one of the best drivers ever, but also you run the business. And John just gave you that credit. When you think about drag racing, where it is, the nature of the sport, the little brother analogy that John just put out there, trying to get where we want to be. There was a time where NASCAR and NHRA drag racing were peers, right? When John started in the early 1990s, you think about Kenny Bernstein, a drag racer, goes over and starts an IndyCar team, starts a NASCAR team. Raymond Beadle, a drag racer, starts a NASCAR team, wins a championship with Rusty Wallace. NASCAR had explosive growth in the 1990s. And like John just said, NHRA is trying to have that explosive growth. How's it going, Robert, as you are out there participating in and trying to sell the sport, seeing the changes that have made? You tell us, give us your perspective.
I think it's very healthy. I think there's a lot of new excitement. NHRA's done a good job, as you can tell by, you know, a lot of sellout races that we've had. And that's really what attracts the sponsors. You know, they love coming and seeing a packed house. They love the excitement of hospitality and everything we do, being part of it right in the pits. We have a lot of, you know, like John said earlier, you know, new announcements to make. And I would say, you know, NHRA drag racing is very healthy and we're working hard to continue it. You know, it's a lot of new exciting news, and I just think everybody's doing a great job. You know, adding Tony Stewart to the mix this year didn't hurt. You know, he brought some new sponsors, new partners, and I think Tim Wilkerson's got some big announcements coming. So I'd say everybody's doing a great job.
And there is something real big that's coming we can't talk about, and not like Jurassic Park, you know, that it's coming, but there's something coming, and it's going to be fun. We're really looking forward to this with Robert Hight, and of course Brittany and I and Proc will be in the fight. Frank Teagues, we were excited that Barlam and Tolver brought that car around and put it up. It shocked me. I didn't even know how it got there to number 3. So I haven't figured out where them other guys went. You know what I mean? It was just, but Brittany got the title, and that was exciting for me as a father. And so we're excited where it's going to go. But our sport, I coming out of the pandemic, we're surviving it. You know, you look at some of these other sports shows, everybody's struggling. But NHRA works. We were at meetings with them in the last few days, Robert and myself, and they're doing everything they can to try to make this thing move ahead. And Pomona's not in trouble. I know the people. Okay, they look down the road. You know, who knows what the future is going to bring? But right now, we're safe. It's going to be there.
Absolutely.
I want to clarify one thing real quick.
Yes.
You know, there's been rumors, but the Auto Club and AAA is still with John Force Racing. Okay. And for multiple years.
Oh, I didn't say that wrong, did I?
No.
See, he's the boss. But he's right. No, I'm saying they're great with us. There's a lot of change going on for reasons, business, but NHRA, you know, has supported us the last 25, 30 years. I mean, nothing but good, and they're still here. They've signed up to go down the road again. So we're going to be kicking up, but there's some exciting stuff coming that we're going to do, and we'll just see where it all goes.
Well, exactly. And we got Brad Gerber from the NHRA going to be on next. But of course, everybody, PRI next week. I know you guys are going to be there, shaking hands, kissing babies, all of those things. And a lot of news will roll out after the turn of the year. Brittany, you just won your second world championship, 2017, 2022. The way you did it this year, by setting track records all over the country. You've been called the Queen of Speed because you have set track records and world records, and you're really the fastest female I know of, 338.94 miles per hour in 1,000 feet. And I want everybody out there to think about that. In 1,000 feet, accelerating from 0 to 338.94 miles per hour. It's absolute insanity. What has that experience been like for you going through this season, battling for a championship, having a points lead, losing the points lead, and then rallying back with a critical victory to become champion?
Overall, our season's been pretty outstanding from start to finish. I mean, we came on strong. Our first win was, early on in the season in Vegas. And, looking back at last season, we only won the one race, and it wasn't until halfway through the season in Topeka. So we already came into the season stronger than last, already ahead of ourselves, and, won a handful of races. Not only that, we were setting, track records. And in St. Louis, we got the mile per hour record. And in Pomona, we stepped even above it, beyond it, and set that track record you're talking about. It was Pomona during qualifying, that 338.9. Pretty awesome to do that with this whole team. It takes everyone involved, David Grubnick, Max Savage, all the guys to do that. And to be able to do that at the final race of the season and my home track, it's a special one. It's something that means a lot to me. We're hoping we could keep it there. And like I said, start to finish, our season was incredible. When the countdown began and you really have to hit it hard, our team started to slip a little bit. We were, fell behind. We were out, second round in the first few races of the countdown, and it was, pushing us back, but we stayed focused. We stayed motivated. We knew we could get to that number one spot. We just needed to get back on top where we were. And we moved things around in Vegas when we won. Second to the last race of the season, we got that win, and it moved us ahead of the number one guy just by 7 points. But that was our goal going into Pomona, was we didn't care how many points, but we wanted to be number one. We wanted to be ahead, just to have that little bit out ahead of somebody was what was our main goal. And we were able to accomplish that, and we just stayed ahead in Pomona, and that's where we got the job done, and we got that number one. So a championship is just incredible. We did it in 2017, which was awesome. This year, being able to do it, we've been chasing it with this group, this team, since I've been with them since 2019. They're an awesome group. David Grubnick, he's always pushing limits. He's always pushing for those numbers, on the board and track records. And ultimate goal, though, was always a championship, and very proud to do it with this entire Monster Energy Flavor Pack team.
So exciting. John, where were you? I want to hear your Brittany wins the championship story, because it happened in a kind of unusual way. We were expecting it to come down to the final round or the final race, certainly late in the day, but instead her closest competition lost in the first round, making her the champion in the first round. You were yet to race, and then all of a sudden you realize the fight is over. Your daughter had won the championship. That had to be kind of an interesting situation. Can you share with us?
I was in shock. I was sitting in the car. My wife Lori was in the back seat, and my grandsons, Jacob and Noah, and we're sitting there, and Lori always following the points, and I'm on oxygen in the front seat trying to get up to win. And I had heard that Brittany had won, and then they just started dropping off, and I didn't think nothing about it. And then those guys that had lost, I stepped out of the car. And I thought, well, she's only got to go a round or maybe two, and she can lock this thing up. And then I hear Alan Reinhardt, the announcer, say, Brittany has locked up the championship. And I'm like, oh, man, he screwed that up, because she didn't. I didn't think at the time, but I'm guilty. I don't watch the points. And in the middle of it, I got back in the car, and my wife said, yeah, obviously she did, because there was a lot of things we weren't counting, like qualifying and different stuff. And so I was really proud of her. It was a great day for us. I thought we had two. I thought it was in the bag, and it didn't happen. And we just move on, and let's do it again. Let's start all over.
Yeah, Robert, I every time I hear that, for those that don't know, I get to spend a lot of time with this team, and every time I think about Brittany's championship, I think about how close you and your team came to winning a championship. And like the old Wide World of Sports Open, right? The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. It just got to be a barb that pokes you, but you have been through this before and you're a champion driver coming back. But what's it like to deal with that, to have to go through that experience? Caps has lost 2 by single digits, and now you have had that experience.
Yeah, it was a little tough pill to swallow, but we're going to use it for motivation going forward and learn from it. You got to take out the positives of the year, because there were a lot of them. Pretty much led the points all year long. 0 first round losses. I think that's pretty impressive. We just, sometimes you think, what can we do better, and that's what you got to do in anything you do. You have to strive to be better, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to work hard at it, and like I said, I think we definitely have some goals here, and something to prove.
Yeah, if you're not heartbroken at the end of it, if you don't win, then does it really matter that much? And
it was tough.
It definitely matters. Let me ask you, someone mentions, does Hight have the funny car speed record, 339.87? Yes, all of the records for the nitro categories are on your screen right now. Speed and ET funny car, speed and ET top fuel dragster. Robert, you've got Jimmy Prock as your crew chief, but clearly there's a lot of brain power and a lot of power in general over there at John Force Racing. Those records, how do they translate like to wins? First and second in the points, clearly making power. What is John Force Racing doing that the other teams are not doing, that you guys have these records?
I think these are the 4 best cars we've ever had. They're very, very competitive. Everybody works super hard, and that's their goals, is quicker and faster. That's all Jimmy Prock thinks about. He's already thinking about things we're going to test over the winter, and that's how you get better. It is impressive to have, all of the records, and companies like Chevrolet, they love that, okay, because they give us a lot of technology. Things have changed in funny car, in the last few years with, some of the rule changes and the rev limiter and, the headers. So we've got to work around that to get back. And I think you're going to see funny cars pushing those limits again. Lots and lots of technology. I mean, we saw, 337, 338 this year in funny car. And we're going to get back there. It's going to take a lot of hard work though.
For those who are uninitiated that might know Top Fuel or known as the kings of the sport, why are funny cars ultimately a little faster? Top Fuel dragsters are quicker, but funny cars are faster in terms of speed. Can you give us a quick answer?
Yeah, so funny cars are definitely more aerodynamic, and you can get more air in the engine. We can gain 53, 54 miles an hour from the 8th on. Dragsters can't do that. We pretty much have the same rev limiter now, but how come they're quicker is, they're 200 pounds lighter and they can hit it way harder. They have more traction early on in the run and they can get after it. But once you get going, the funny car can pull more air in, and it's more aerodynamic.
Brittany, you started out, you were going into a teaching career. We remember you, young racer, your dad is John Force, and I don't know that it's possible for a kid to fully understand what's, their parents do and whether it's unusual or different than the other kids out there, right? But you want to become a teacher, and then, your sisters got involved in the sport, and then you got involved in the sport. Now you're a 2-time world champion. You threw your life into this, right? Like you went literally all in with drag racing, and now you're a 2-time champion. I want to talk a little bit about that journey, and now, a leader at John Force Racing, a face of John Force Racing. And if your dad ever retires, which we hope he never does, you're going to have to carry the family business into the future. Talk a little bit about going all in on the sport of drag racing.
Thank you. Back, this was years ago when I was in college, I went to school to be a school teacher. And I was in the sportsman division. I was driving 8 Fuel at the time. I drove Super Comp for 3 years, A Fuel for 3 years, and I had an opportunity to jump into a top fuel car and make some passes in it. And at the time, my plan was I still wanted to stay in A Fuel and pursue teaching was the plan. And once I got in that top fuel car, I'll never forget, it was Las Vegas. It was my first full pass, and when I got out on the top end, I knew that's the direction I wanted to go. I was hooked. I loved it. It was just a whole different experience than what I've been doing, and I loved driving that car. So it was kind of my mind was made up in that first full pass. I spent months just making runs in the car, but only to half track and working your way down the track. So it was that first full pass, and I knew that's the direction I wanted to go, and I really haven't looked back since. If you would have asked me 13 years ago if I thought I'd be a 2-time champion, it blows my mind even today that we got that first championship so huge, and then we just did it again this season. I'm very proud of that. But again, it's competitive, and it's what winning is why we're out here. It's what we do for our teams and ourselves and our sponsors, and it's all of John Force Racing that makes that happen. And we want more. Now that you get a taste of it, you definitely want more. It's like that first win. Once you finally get it, you want more. And championship, it works the same way. And talking about my dad in the sport, I'm very proud to take on this kind of role model. I always hope to be a role model in the sport for the younger generations coming up, that they could look up to me, and if I can inspire one of them, that is a win to me. If I could push them to come outside their comfort zone, or chase down what they really want to do, whether it's against the odds or whatever it is, just to be able to inspire that younger generation is a win for me. So I'm proud to carry that out here, and a role model. It's a big thing, and we have so many kids that come out to the races, and they come up to our ropes and they tell me they want to be a race car driver to me. So it's very meaningful to me.
Yeah, the access at NHRA is amazing. Let me ask you, Erica was on with Lynn St. James yesterday, and there's always a lot of talk about, ladies in racing. And you might have heard me at the start of this talking about it's normal in NHRA, and maybe we should make a bigger deal of it, but we don't because we're used to it, and it's not really out of the ordinary for NHRA. What is your opinion about that? Should we make a bigger deal that women racers in the NHRA are winning championships and beating the guys on a regular basis? Or should we continue as we have, just kind of it's the normal thing here, and lead by example, if you will? What is your opinion, Brittany?
I think it's normal in our sport, in our bubble of NHRA drag racing, but outside that bubble, it's huge. Female championships, to be able to line up with Enders this year, and we both won a championship and a number of races together. That is huge. You don't see that in other sports. And yes, I feel like it should be blown out. Like we should I have no problem, putting that out there. I want people to know that females are winning in drag racing. They're not just, pulling off those #1 qualifiers, but we're winning races and we're winning championships. That's huge.
Yeah, for the first time ever, 2 females have won a world championship in the 4 professional categories. Erica Enders and Brittany Force won together for the first time in the same year. Of course, in NHRA, we have 4 top tier categories. Robert, what about you, though? What's your opinion? And John, jump in here as well. John, you've been around since Shirley Muldowney won her first 3 championships. In fact, you employ one of the guys who helped tune her to do it, Ron Tobler, who helped Austin Prock win that race in the end of the year in Pomona. But, racing against women, battling against women, it's a normal thing in drag racing now. We're 40 years down the road. But should we make a bigger deal of it? Is it a bigger deal than we even take credit for?
Well, I think it's already a big deal. You got to hand it to Shirley in the beginning, going through the battles that she went through and coming up and winning. But Brittany goes through the same battles, just different day, different time. But it's what we do. And to see Erica out there, she has her fights, with the guys. It's just part of it. But you know what? I really believe that we're a family sport, and I saw some things that really made me love the sport even more than I do. And maybe if we have time, I'll talk about it later. But I just think the women in our sport, I think it's great for our sport because the men and women and the children are in the stands. And I think it's great.
Robert?
Yeah, I do too. We've had ladies in funny cars that, I look at them as another racer. There's no difference. They want to beat me as bad as I want to beat them. And you see a lot of it happening over here in the NHRA that you don't see in other sports, other motorsports for sure. So, got to work hard, and the ladies are all doing a good job and working hard.
That NHRA girl, you can beat her and she'll get out of the car and say, good job. And if she beats you, she wants to run over and hug you. And that just the kind of people that we deal with on a day-to-day. We really are a family sport. I think that's what keeps the people coming.
Is that what you were going to say, John? I think you've been around so long, and you're in many ways the face of drag racing, and people love you, whether you care or want them to or not. Like, there are people that they absolutely love John Force. Our chat section is full of people just kind of recounting moments that they had with you, whether it be in a TV studio or different stuff like that. What was it that made you love the sport even more? Because I think your connection to this thing is stronger than anyone. So if you're going to talk about passion and love for the sport, I want to know what it is that affects you.
I go back, I was on an interview this morning and they asked me, why do you love drag racing? Why are you doing it at your age? I said, because I love it, but I really love the people, and I love the competition and the winning and the trophies and the money. I love all of that, the camaraderie of the teams around me, my family and my workers, employees. They're like family. But I have to go back to 1965 in high school. You weren't even born. And yet I was at the Lions drag strip with Beaver Brothers and Condit, wiping tires, wanting to be a part of it. So I've watched it, but I never really knew it. And then I started racing professionally in 74, 75 in Australia. But I even took a walk at one of the racetracks, St. Louis, I think, got up in the morning and I walked from one end to the other and back. Hell, it took me over an hour. I'm a little slow, but I got to see what they do day to day, the safety safaris, all of the workers, the setups, the people, the teams. And I saw things that I've been out here 45 years, going on 50, that I never even realized what they did. And I went around, I started shaking hands and thanking people. I went to the next race and I did it again. But it's funny, the people, but I saw something happen. And I've been there when I've been on fire and racers run over to me in safety safari, try to drag me out. And I've been there trying to help other people in the same situation. But I saw something this week that really amazed me. Okay. The Torrance family, Brittany has been battling Steve Torrance, and they all fight each other how to win. But in the end, you still feel your family. And sometimes you say, well, I want to believe that, but I don't know if it's really true. How do they really feel about you? Well, let me tell you, Billy Torrance, my granddaughter is driving a Super Cop, and they sold Robert a car for autumn, and she's moving up. And Billy was somewhere in Texas trying to help her. And I saw what he did, and I thought, this is pretty cool. And he goes, I just love that little girl. And he goes, hey, I can't wait for his own grandkid to grow up. I hope he wants to be a part of it, because he was part of Steve growing up. But I never realized how much racers care, and especially him. And I want to thank him right now, because I saw what he did. I watched him work on her car every round while running his, and Robert was right there in the heat of the battle, trying to race, right? And then Bobby got hurt. His trailer door fell on him, and it got worse. He had to go home and had to go in for some kind of a surgery or something. I don't want to get sidelined here, but I saw a love that he had for our children, my granddaughter. And it made me cry. I ran down every day to see how he was. And he'd go, Forrest, would you just go away and leave me alone? I'm fine. But I watched this guy. He couldn't hardly walk. And he's still making sure her car's right, making sure that we're going to get it right. but I saw his passion for the sport, and that's how he built him a champion with his son. And I get it. But I couldn't say enough. We may be fighting all the time trying to win in Top Fuel, but I love you personally, Bobby and Robert. I mean, Billy. Robert, you feel the same way. Tell them what you saw.
Oh no, he definitely had a lot of fun. He actually talked about, missing the days when he was teaching Steve how to drive and coming up through the sportsman ranks. And, that guy, it's hard to tell whether he loves Super Comp or Top Fuel. I mean, that's all he thinks about is that Super Comp car. So, we have lots of classes in NHRA drag racing, from the pros down to the sportsmen, and the grassroots and the sportsmen are the guys that really love this and make things happen. So I'm very appreciative for what Billy's done for Autumn and giving her a really good car and teaching her. So we've had a blast racing with him, and we're going to do some more in the future.
Yeah, what's the plan for that? What's the plan for Autumn? For those that don't know, we've had some people ask about, is Courtney coming back and is Ashley coming back and all of these questions. I think we need to look at the future and what is Autumn's plan, Robert?
Well, she's still a senior in high school. She's got, school things and a lot going on. We're going to fit some racing in whenever we can. And then she's going to go to college. So, hopefully summertime we can travel around and she can race, some division races and, on our off weekends, and then national events. So she's got a long ways to go, but I'm very proud of her. She's done a really good job so far. She can hit the tree, and we give her a car, she can win.
Excellent. Comment in the comment section. John is one of the best ambassadors of the sport. He treats sponsors so well. It's no wonder some of the best sponsors around, like Peak, are involved. And that's really where you out accelerated everybody else, John, is by being a character, being yourself, your genuine self, but out there, letting people behind the curtain to what you're thinking and plugging those sponsors.
Well, you get involved, like John Powers coming in and with Powers Solar, with Frank Teagues, with Flavor Pack and with Montana Brand. They do it because they love racing. They truly do love it. But I tell you, with all my stress and all that I'm going through and trying to operate these, thank God for Robert Hight. He really runs everything, and I get all the credit. But I tell you what, and I don't want to keep bringing it up. They're going to think I've fallen in love here with Billy. But I saw the way he talked to that girl and the things that he did. And Robert, you go race. I'll take care of this. And I just fell in love with this guy, and he's been whipping our butts over here for years. And all of a sudden, he's just the best guy in the world. And he'll tell you how he feels. He told me how stupid I am a lot of times, but and probably right. But I just love the people, and that's why I'm still out here racing. I don't want to go home. I love it out here with you guys. And thanks for having us on the day too. You having us on your show. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a reason that Tony Stewart wants to be involved in the sport and Rick Ware wants to be involved in the sport. There is it's an interesting balance, and maybe Robert, you can elaborate a little bit on this. Brittany, jump in as well. It's unusual that professionals like yourselves are racing on the same track at the same time, same day as a sportsman or amateur, all in the same location at the same time. And so Billy Torrance, who is let's call him a Lucas Oil Series sportsman racer who loves Super Comp, raises his child, Steve Torrance, and they climb up the ladder. They build faster cars. Next thing you know, this guy's a 4-time Top Fuel world champion. But that's all happening at the same place at the same time. It's a very unique experience. You're a professional, Robert. You were a crew member, but now you got to run off to the sportsman pits and get your daughter ready to race, all in the same place. It's a very unique atmosphere that kind of combines the highest level of professional motorsport with a Fox television deal and 330 mile per hour race cars, while at the same time of a grassroots experience where you can run Super Comp and people out there chasing their dreams on a more budget controlled level.
One thing I've noticed about the sportsman ranks is there's a lot of camaraderie. Okay. But when you really get behind the scenes and understand how it all works, those racers, they're very, very good at what they do. The guys that and gals that can win in sportsmen, they're extremely good at what they do. It might not be the most exciting thing to watch, but if you get behind the scenes and understand how hard it is to win and what it takes to win, how good they are, I'm impressed. And we have a lot to learn, and we've also been very fortunate that, a lot of the really good sportsman racers have come up and, wanted to help us out. And that makes me feel really good. It's fun to take a stroll through the sportsman pits in the evenings and just talk to the racers. I mean, look at Bruno Massel. That guy's a former world champ, and what he does, I mean, he could jump in a funny car any day and get it down the racetrack from learning how to race in the sportsman ranks.
Amazing. Paul is out there, says John is like very similar to Richard Petty, great ambassador. Richard once told me that the people who wanted autographs and pictures are the ones that are paying the bills. And yes, the connection between drag racers and racing fans is still as strong and as close as ever before. That's one aspect of the sport that has not really changed at all. John, you've certainly been there at the ropes a fair amount of time. Brittany, you shared an interesting story with me. I'd love for you to share it for the folks on EPARTRADE about the fans that came up to you at the Auto Club finals and made it a we thing. Like they were looking at you as part of their team, if you will. Can you explain that story?
Yeah, it's just pretty cool to see, the fan base around us, the support system, not just John Force Racing, but all the teams in NHRA drag racing. They really follow the sport from beginning of the season to the end. And, they have our backs when we're doing something where we want them to vote. They're right there to vote. They're right there to have our back always. They're cheering us on. They're, wearing our team colors up in the stands. But what was really cool in Pomona, I had a number of fans come up to me and say, we're going to win this thing, Brittany. We're going to win this championship this weekend. And to see that they made it as in we're all in this together was pretty cool, that I'm their team. They're the one, they feel this connection to me and we're going to win it together.
That's awesome.
Hey, let me interrupt here.
Do it.
EPARTRADE. If I'm pronouncing it right, I want to thank you for supporting our sport, for supporting this show. It's very important. You help us get our word out, and we're going to push you out there also.
That's excellent. All right, so we're winding up a little bit. We got a couple minutes left, so let's give a quick answer. Obviously, your goals are to win the championship in 2023 and as many races as possible. Brittany, of course, to go back to back, become a three-time champion. Ty Shirley, Muldowney, and championships. Oh my goodness, that sounds so amazing. Robert, you've got to bounce back, and it looks like you're very determined. So I would like for you to instead state your goals for the sport, for NHRA drag racing in general, because if that grows, and then, look at what has happened with Formula One over the past couple of years. It was already the biggest motorsport in the world. They put out this amazing television program. They showcase their drivers, and they're bigger than they ever thought they could be. Amazing stuff. What would you like to see for the sport of drag racing and its fans in 2023? Let's start with Robert.
Well, I think, it was pretty cool when, we raced Reading, Pennsylvania this year, and we had a NFL lead-in for Fox. And, that was the biggest viewing history we had ever seen for NHRA drag racing. And it was on par with NASCAR. And I think we need some more of those. And I think all of that is going to bring more fans to come check us out, in person at the races across the country. Fox does an amazing job. And, once we get these fans to the racetrack, usually you're going to get them back a second time.
I agree. Yeah, John says, oh my God, a drag racing Drive to Survive. How cool would that be? It would be cool. It would be pretty extreme, certainly. What about you, John? You're someone who has spent a lifetime in the sport. You've raised your kids in the sport. You're always working so hard for drag racing to communicate to people out there that it's awesome and you love it. What do you want to see for the sport to grow, to become even more successful in this coming season?
Well, I want it to survive because I love it. I've given my life to it, and my kids have, and now maybe my grandkids. But I tell you, we got to better our world, and we got to clean up the environment. I'm not trying to get into politics, but and the electric cars coming to some degree. We're building them up there at Chevrolet. But it was funny. I was with Richard. I wasn't with Richard Petty, but I saw him at a show there at, where were we at? Indy, SEMA, and the trade show. And of course, he's all about the combustion engines, and it ain't going anywhere. Trust me, we're going to be around a long time. But he made a statement when we were talking, and he never says much. You just love this guy, right? And he looked over at me, and I said, "How you doing, kid?" He goes, "Okay, how you doing?" And I said, "What do you think? What's going on with this?" Because he builds motors and stuff, right? "What do you think is going on with the electric car and the combustion engine?" He said, "The only thing I see is that when they got rid of the wagons, they didn't shoot the horses." And I'm looking at him like, I wanted to ask, what did that mean? You know, he said, "Yeah, they didn't shoot the horses." And what does that mean? They're trying to shoot us? No, they're not. It's just the world changing. But what was the question?
Well, no, you answered it pretty much. Jim Campbell from Chevrolet was on just an hour or so ago talking a lot about EVs. And you're right, John, there's still horse racing, and there's a lot of people with show horses, and there's all kinds of fun stuff that happens around the equestrian hobby. And so the internal combustion engine isn't going anywhere. Brittany, same question. For drag racing, you're the face of the sport for 2023. You're young, fresh, exciting, you're fast, you're the queen of speed. What do you want for the sport of drag racing in the future?
I think the biggest thing is getting more eyes on our sport, and it's that younger generation, because that's where you're seeing the movement, and it's just getting them at a racetrack. And you know, we've seen it a lot this year. You know, right following our championship win in Pomona, I was at a Ducks game, and they had me plastered on the Jumbotron, and it's putting our sport, our name, into a crowd that maybe doesn't know anything about it, but it's pulling more eyes in. So it's definitely doing that kind of stuff. NHRA will bring out, you know, celebrities. I'd like to see more of that. We had, you know, TikTokers, famous TikTokers out there that were doing their TikTok videos and YouTubes, and they have a huge following. So now their eyes are on our sport because of them. So I think that's definitely a big thing. That's what this younger generation's about. And we need to make sure we're getting more, you know, looks in our sport.
Well, congratulations on a tremendous season to all of John Force Racing. I thank you all for coming on here on EPARTRADE. I know Francisque and Judy are going to jump on any second, but you are doing a great job for the sport. And I don't know how hard everyone else in the world of motorsports works, but I know how hard you work because I see it. And it's admirable. You guys are wide open all the time, going out to trade shows, sponsors, meeting people, pressing the flesh, doing what you got to do so that we can burn nitro on the weekends. And I think you do a great job. Hopefully, some of the folks out there on EPARTRADE who are watching this, you know, maybe they want to get involved with your team, guys. That's a possibility. Hey, Robert, what should they do if they want to get involved with JFR?
Oh, definitely. You know, look us up, johnforceracing.com. Come hang out with us at a race. We've got hospitality. We'll take you behind the scenes and show you what it takes to run, you know, one of these nitro cars, and, you know, get to see the teams work on them between rounds. We're always willing to host anybody out there with us.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question? I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just kind of wound up on coffee. Sorry to you two folks over there.
Hey.
God, is that a pretty girl or what? Yeah, and that guy ain't bad looking either. Okay, but here's the point. And they're going to say, where are you coming from, Force? But I was at the NHRA banquet. We all were. Okay, it was a great time, and I'm watching this whole deal. A new place to happen down at Chimichanga. What's that called?
Pachanga.
And it was great. NHRA did a great job. But I saw something that freaked me out. But I don't know if it was real or not. I'm standing back by myself, always keeping an eye on my grandkids wherever they're at. And I look out, and up on the stage, this lady goes on the stage in a big bright red dress, and she starts singing. And I'm listening to her, and I thought, man, that's really good. So I asked somebody, I said, that girl, my eyes are so bad, I don't know how I drive a race car, but I said, how does that girl do that? And they said, that's Amanda Busey. That's our TV Fox announcer with NHRA. And I go, man, she's got, and then someone said, she's not really singing. She's probably lip singing. But I watched her dance on the stage and everything she did. It was like, man, if she's really singing, and I didn't know. So does anybody know?
I know the answer. Francisque and Judy, I apologize. We'll get to go over on Brad's time a little bit, but that's okay because Brad Gerber's best salesperson is John Force. And that was what John is talking about is after the NHRA award ceremony, there's a party. They have a really nice blowout party with music. Britt was there. Robert was there. We were hanging out. People are drinking. And Amanda, who is our correspondent, top end reporter for NHRA on Fox, she's a very talented singer. I don't think people realize that, but she jumped up on stage, grabbed the microphone, and she lip synced, but rapped Salt and Pepper and got the crowd going. And it was one of those moments. And this is the kind of stuff that's happening at the NHRA. On track, great. At the event, great. But also behind the scenes, having a party, throwing it down, they do it too. And I'm sure she's going to love the fact that you took notice, John.
So she was singing right in the middle of all that. That's unbelievable. That freaks me out.
John, that's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've noticed Brad make a couple comments in the chat button as well, and he's on next.
Yes.
I want to go next year. I'm going to ask Brad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
where's my invite?
Well, now that we know you want to go. John Force Racing, thank you guys. Appreciate you greatly.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
having us.
much.
Thank you.
What a pleasure and what an honor to be hosting you on Race Industry Week 2022. So thank you so much.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.